As a beginner, it's difficult to know what type of drone to get to begin with. You don't want to be put off. This is a short guide for complete beginners on what the different types of quads are generally that are affordable and easy to fly. The first one is a non-altitude hold quad, and what that means simply is the drone is completely flexible in terms of being pushed up and down, left and right whilst in flight. This is a lot to concentrate on as an absolute beginner. Most controllers are made in Mode 2 in England, and this is the setup you've got. So you've got up and down on the left stick, as well as turn to face the left and turn to face the right. There's no actual flight on that stick. The right stick, however, tilts the drone forward or backward, or left or right in flight. Now, this is the hardest one to maintain control over, so not having to think about too much is quite useful. So a non-altitude hold quadcopter means you've got control over all these things at once, which can be quite daunting as a beginner. So there is an alternative. At a similar price, you can buy things with altitude hold. This looks after one of the things you have to think about, which is height. So you set the height using the left stick, as we said, moving the drone up in the air or down to the height you want. You can then concentrate on the flight of it by tilting the drone and see what effect this has on it. Don't forget that if you do use the left stick to turn left or turn right and the drone faces you, your controls are backwards, which is another thing to think about. So altitude hold is a godsend at very little or no difference in price to a non-altitude hold quadcopter. It acts like a hoverboard and waits for you. As you can see here, you could control it with one hand because it's looking after the rest. The third option is slightly more expensive than the other two, although getting cheaper. Even in this windy condition, something called optical flow uses a small camera under the drone to maintain its position over the ground beneath it. This is an exceptionally good tool in terms of being able to take steady, stable footage, and it does, as a beginner, offer a really good alternative to altitude holding effect because it doesn't drift around on the height you set it at. It stays exactly where you said. There is another alternative to this called GPS, which I'll touch on at the end. But as you can see, optical flow is a pretty rock solid ability to stay in one place and then let you worry about the flying forward, left and right and so on by tilting the right stick in the direction you want to go. That enables you to get steady footage like this from a little drone, even in wind. So it's quite useful. Probably not as friendly as altitude hold on the purse or your skill levels because you might become dependent upon it. Using altitude hold initially helps you get used to flying around and then move on to non-altitude hold and find the difference in managing your throttle of going up and down in different heights as you fly. So a non-altitude hold gives you much more control over the drone, but it's a lot to think about initially. An altitude hold gives you the ability to have more time to think and fly around. An optical flow is a rock solid stationary type of camera that holds the position of the drone. And finally, GPS. I said I'd touch on this. This is a very satellite fixed assistance. This won't help you learn to fly, but is good for getting drones back. But that's another story.